The learning station floated above the glimmering blue arc of the planet, like a silent sentinel. Its corridors were polished metal and glass, echoing with the quiet hum of reactors and the murmur of students from dozens of worlds. Among them walked a quiet girl named Lina. She moved with calm steps, carrying a small data tablet against her chest. Most days she went unnoticed, which suited her fine. She preferred quiet corners, dim halls, and the low, soft hum of the station's old ventilation system. That steady pulse comforted her more than the bustle of students around her. The academy was known across human settlements for demanding excellence. Teachers expected discipline, precision, and resilience. The command deck was decorated with banners from great victories and discoveries, all meant to inspire the next generation. But inspiration often turned into pressure, and pressure often became something that felt much heavier than the gravity. Control systems in the hallways. Lina arrived at the music division late in the day. The doorway slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, several teachers stood near a massive piano made of alloy and carved from dark synthetic wood. It was a preserved relic, one of the few instruments still functioning after decades of transport across the stars. Lights from the ceiling shimmered over its polished frame. A group of students gathered on the side, whispering softly. One teacher, a tall man with sharp eyes and a clipped tone, stepped forward. His name was Coach Rell. He believed discipline forged greatness. He believed pressure separated ordinary students from the exceptional. Beside him stood Instructor Heil, a calmer figure, though still stern. They had called the students here for a sudden evaluation. Coach Rell addressed them. His voice carried across the room with authority. He said the Academy Council wanted proof of the division's readiness to represent humans in the upcoming interspecies cultural exchange. The event mattered because humans were still trying to prove themselves to the wider alliance. The alliance viewed humanity as brilliant yet unpredictable, creative yet undisciplined, capable yet reckless. This performance could influence diplomatic ties with dozens of civilizations. Students, anxious and uncertain, exchanged uneasy glances. But Coach Rell's eyes soon settled on Lina. She did not look up right away. She was examining the piano from afar. She always admired its structure. It was one of the few things in the station that felt alive to her. Its speakers and strings still carried echoes of the past. Coach Rell called her name again. She stepped forward. Instructor Halle asked if she had submitted her practice recordings. Lina shook her head. She had not. She did not like broadcasting her playing across the Academy network. It felt invasive. She preferred the quiet music chamber 2 decks down, where late at night she practiced with the small digital keyboard. She had repaired by hand. Her silence led the teachers to believe she was unprepared. Coach Rell looked at the other teachers and declared that if she intended to remain in the division, she would have to prove her skill immediately. He stepped aside and motioned toward the piano. Lina stood in front of it while whispers rose behind her. Instructor Halle selected a demanding piece from the digital archive. It was composed centuries earlier on Earth and was known for its rapid transitions and emotional complexity. The room reacted with surprise. Some students gasped. None of them had mastered it fully. Lina stared at the sheet projected in front of her. Her calm expression held steady. Coach Rell assumed she was overwhelmed. He announced that refusal to perform would result in removal from the program. Lina placed her tablet down. She approached the piano. Her fingers hovered over the keys. She inhaled slowly. She remembered her father teaching her notes on a smaller instrument back on a frontier colony. She remembered fixing broken music modules during the quiet hours of long journeys. Music had always been her language. When words failed, the room waited. Then Lina played, The first notes rose like sparks in the air. They carried warmth and precision. They carried confidence and clarity. The students stopped whispering. Teachers stiffened. Even the lights overhead felt quieter, as if the station itself paused to listen. Her fingers moved with fluid grace. Not mechanical. Not rehearsed. Alive. The melody flowed through her with perfect rhythm. Each strike of a key felt like a message threaded through sound. She shaped the music with emotion and depth far beyond her age. The complex transitions came effortlessly. Rising arcs, falling echoes, bold strikes, gentle touches. Every note balanced with flawless intention. The teachers watched in disbelief. Coach Rel's stern posture weakened. Instructor Hale's eyes widened. The students leaned closer as the room filled with shimmering harmonies. The sound traveled through the vents and down the halls. Students passing outside paused to listen. Voices whispered across channels. Word spread quickly. The usually strict administrators from the command deck stopped their work to check the feed coming from the room. Even the station's automated assistant recognized the anomaly and began recording data on sound patterns. Lena did not notice any of this. She was lost within the music. She played not to impress, but to breathe. It felt like unlocking something that belonged to her, something that she had carried through space and time with quiet dedication. When she reached the final sequence, she lifted her hands lightly and struck the last note. The sound lingered like a bright echo suspended in the air. Silence took over. A deep, thick silence. The teachers stood frozen. Instructor Hall swallowed hard and asked her how long she had been able to play like that. Lena answered with a soft voice that she learned long ago and practiced alone because she did not like disturbing others. Her modest tone struck the room with more impact than the performance itself. Coach Rel, unable to hide his awe, stepped forward and asked why she never told them. Lena replied that no one asked. She added that she enjoyed quiet practice more than public attention. At that moment, something shifted in the room. Students who had previously overlooked her now looked at her with admiration. Teachers who doubted her began to understand they had almost pushed away a prodigy. Instructor Heil raised a hand and said her performance might change the entire presentation plan for the cultural exchange. The teacher insisted that she represent humans. Coach Rel nodded in agreement, for once unable to speak with his usual authority. But while admiration filled the room, something else stirred within the station. The Alliance officials monitoring the Academy noticed the signal. They detected an unusual harmonic pattern that carried unique emotional signatures. Human music often resonated differently due to the particular neurological structures of the species. Lena's performance generated readings higher than any recorded in decades. This triggered automated alerts that flagged potential diplomatic value within minutes. A delegation from the Alliance who happened to be stationed nearby sent a request to speak with the Academy leadership. The Academy agreed. Soon, a group of envoys gathered in the observation deck above the hall. They watched a replay of Lena's performance. Their eyes reflected analytical curiosity. They had studied human achievements, but they rarely witnessed such raw artistic power. For them, art was usually a structured practice without much emotional unpredictability. Humans, however, infused meaning into sound in a way no other species did. Lena's performance embodied that. The envoys approached the teachers in the hall. The students moved aside respectfully. One envoy, speaking with composed neutrality, stated that Lena's performance demonstrated a level of expressive depth that could elevate human representation in the exchange. They requested she perform not only at the event, but also at a closed gathering of leaders from several worlds. The teachers exchanged stunned glances. Instructor Halle agreed, but insisted Lena should choose whether she wanted to accept. The envoy turned toward Lena. She looked overwhelmed but calm. She nodded. She said she would perform if it helped strengthen trust between species. Her voice carried sincerity that impressed even Coach Rel. After the envoys left, the teachers apologized to Lena for doubting her. Coach Rel admitted he misjudged her silence as weakness. Instructor Hawley apologized for pushing her without understanding her skill. Lena accepted their apologies with graceful humility. The academy prepared a full schedule for her. She received upgraded practice rooms, advanced simulation tools, and personal support staff. Yet she remained modest. She preferred her small, quiet chamber more than the new grand halls. Still, she trained every day. She blended human melodies with subtle influences from Alliance cultures. She created harmonies designed to bridge emotional gaps. She worked with care and intention. Weeks passed. The day of the exchange arrived. The main cultural hall was a massive structure built of crystal and alloy. Light shimmered across its curved ceiling. Delegations from dozens of worlds filled the seats. Each species carried its own traditions and expectations. Some doubted humans. Some supported them. All were curious. When Lina stepped onto the stage, the hall quieted. She wore a simple uniform with a subtle symbol of Earth on the chest. She took her seat at the grand piano provided for the event. It was larger and more advanced than the one in the academy. Light panels around it glowed softly. She took a breath. Then she played. The hall filled with sound that seemed to reshape the very air. She performed a new composition created during her training. It carried the flow of human resilience, the softness of human sorrow, and the bright hope of human aspiration. She included rising patterns inspired by Alliance music structures, blending cultures in a seamless arc. The melody traveled like a message of unity. Delegates reacted visibly. Some leaned forward. Some closed their eyes. Some recorded data through their sensory devices. No one spoke. No one moved. When she ended with a final ascending note, the hall remained silent for a long moment. Then applause erupted from the human side. Soon the sound spread. Alliance delegates performed their own gestures of respect. The hall filled with recognition from dozens of worlds. The performance became a symbol of human capability, a symbol of connection, a symbol of what humans could offer beyond technology or strategy. It was artistry, emotion, bridge building. After the event, envoys from several worlds approached her. They praised her skill. They praised her sincerity. They praised the unity her music created. They expressed hope for new collaborations. Some requested she visit their worlds to teach or perform. She accepted politely, but said she wished to continue her studies first. The Academy's reputation soared. Teachers reconsidered their methods. They realized quiet students might carry extraordinary potential. They learned that assumptions could hide brilliance. They created new programs to encourage creativity and personal expression. As for Lina, she returned to her quiet chamber that night. She sat at her small digital keyboard. She played a gentle tune. For her, it was not about fame or applause. It was about connection. It was about sharing what humans felt. It was about showing that humanity, though young among the stars, carried something powerful in its heart. Her music drifted softly down the hallway. A few students passing by paused to listen with admiration. Some smiled. Some wondered how someone so quiet could be so extraordinary. But she did not notice. She simply played. She played because the universe felt bigger and closer at the same time. She played because music was her way of speaking truths that words could not contain. And somewhere beyond the hall, the Alliance sent a message across its network. A message stating that humans had shown great promise in cultural artistry. A message declaring that humanity was not merely a species of conflict or ambition, but a species capable of profound beauty. It started with a quiet girl on a floating academy. A girl the teachers underestimated. A girl who played a challenging piece with unmatched grace. A girl who reminded the stars that humans hold wonders within their hearts. The story of her performance would travel across systems for years. People would speak of the moment a simple student demonstrated the power of human artistry. They would speak of the day music united worlds. They would speak of Lina, the prodigy who changed perceptions with nothing more than her hands, her heart, and a piano, and she would continue to play.